since the beginning, do you believe in the resurrection? Has sort of felt like kind of a through line of the show, and we've had it both metaphorically with Black Lightning resurrecting, and quite literally now with Lala. So how did you come to that theme, and what significance will it have in the rest of the season?
Well, for Black Lightning, it was in my head that we were sort of resurrecting him from, the DC Comics where he had just sort of disappeared. And in Lala's case, and in the show's case, resurrection just sort of means, do you believe that anything can happen? Because Tobias first says that it's a great concept, but complete fantasy, right? Something like that. And I believe in the resurrection of the soul. What I mean by that is, I grew up in Richmond, California, which was not a great place to grow up. So you're looking at somebody who is the resurrection. For me to be sitting here with you guys talking about a show that I'm doing is I'm a walking miracle, right? Because I didn't know anybody, didn't have anything. And so I try to work those themes subtly and overtly into the show as best as I can. So it has a broad meaning. But I think it's a great question.
Any other characters from the DC lore that you're interested in resurrecting in that universe that you've created?
Not right now. Not right now, to be honest. I really want everybody to get to know the Pierce family. Because people will say now, oh, I read Black Lightning and I know, you know what I mean? But honestly, we hadn't heard anything about him until they started talking about doing the show. And so I think it's appropriate for people to get to know him. They got to get to know Anissa. Now they got to get to know Lightning, his youngest daughter, Jennifer. And I think that's going to take a moment, you know what I mean, to let everybody have room to grow. I'm excited about those young women having powers and what they're going to do with them.
I think that this is a really important time in media for minorities and the African Americans, especially both on the big screen and the small screen. And I think Black Lightning came at a really important time, and I think people have reacted really, really well to it. Can you talk a little bit about fan reactions and how you've felt about the way that the show's been received?
It's funny because the show is shown globally, and it's something that I tell my assistant all the time is that we're not a minority. We're actually the majority. So I've never lived my life as though I was a minority. And I think what you're beginning to see, not only with so-called minorities, but with women, with people of different sexualities, is that they're no longer taking the labels that are put upon them. They're defining who they are for themselves. And so I wanted to define this family for who they are. You see what I'm saying? Based on how they were taught. And so the reaction, I think, is commiserate with the way that we sort of approach our storytelling. We don't tell our stories from a victim place or from a so-called minority place. We tell them from an empowered place. And so I think that's why women, people of different sexualities, black folk, everybody, I think, are reacting to it because I think people want to know. We're giving people a window into these people's lives. You know what I mean? Does that answer your question?
Totally.
Okay.
You were talking about giving each Pierce family member a story, like telling their story before anybody else's. You during the first few episodes of the season, you did show Grace holding out an Outsiders comic book. I was wondering if that was an Easter egg or if it will play out in Grace's backstory sometime in like season 2 or like season 3.
I could say that you should expect to see Grace again in a bigger way.
This season. Are we going to see her anytime this season? As an Asian person, I just feel like
You can bet on seeing Grace again in a bigger role.
All right, guys, last question. Anissa and Jennifer both have very different perspectives that are equally fleshed out.
Yeah.
So how did you...
I'm sorry, start again?
Anissa and Jennifer both have equally different perspectives on powers that are equally fleshed out. So how did you decide which one felt which way story, and why did you think it was important to show Jennifer's side? Because she's still a good person despite not wanting to be a hero.
Yeah.
And that's valid.
Yeah. I wanted to show different perspectives on powers. All the shows that I've seen or movies that I've seen, powers are great. You know, you get them and all of a sudden you got a costume, right? I wanted to show that sometimes, you know, it's not so great. You don't want this. It's like being drafted into the military, right? I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask to be in a war, shooting people, killing people, fighting this war. So to me, their powers almost being like being drafted, and she didn't want to be drafted. And so it was very easy to sort of separate a person who thinks that they're a blessing, a gift from God, and this other person who thinks, well, it could be a curse from the devil. You know what I mean? So it was very easy to draw that line.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I love the Garfield hi-hat.
Thank you.